Oh, wow. How did she get that? She enjoyed it. The crowd love it. Oh,
Alex Ayala has done it once more, and this time she delivered her performance with real flair and authority. Following a lengthy, grueling, and mentally exhausting war against Laura Siegund, a contest that pushed every single element of her game to the absolute limit, Ayala returned to the court at the Miami Open and produced one of the most dominant and impressive displays of her entire run so far. She faced Magdala Linette, a player riding high on confidence after scoring a significant victory earlier in the tournament. Yet instead of appearing fatigued or emotionally drained, Eala stepped onto the court looking sharper, stronger, and more focused than she had at any point before. That is precisely what makes this triumph so remarkable. It was not merely the fact that Eala won the match, it was the manner in which she won it. It was the command, the composure, the intelligent shot selection, the steely nerve, and the unshakable belief she displayed from the very first point of the opening set all the way through to the final shot. This was no fortunate escape. This was no match where she simply hung in there and pounced on late opportunities. No, this was Eala walking onto the court with clear purpose, playing as though she truly belonged at that level, and proving yet again that her upward trajectory is absolutely genuine. Let us place this victory in proper context. Linette entered the encounter carrying genuine momentum. She had already demonstrated that she could challenge established names and was playing with the self-assurance of someone who felt she could make a deep run in the tournament. That sort of result can inject any competitor with enormous energy. It can render them threatening. It can make them bold and unafraid. But Eala paid no attention to any of that. She did not play the reputation. She did not play the narrative, and she did not play the big occasion. She simply executed her own game, and whenever Eala performs with that degree of clarity and self-belief, she transforms into an extremely tough opponent to face. Right from the opening moments of the match, it was evident which direction things were heading. Eala began with real authority. She was reading the court effectively, engaging in rallies early and seizing the initiative instead of allowing Linette to set the tone. There existed a noticeable gap in energy levels. Linette produced several strong moments without question. She struck some excellent shots and fought hard to remain competitive, but throughout most of the first set, Eala held the clear advantage. She appeared more decisive during the crucial exchanges, more at ease when the pressure mounted, and more prepared to step inside the court and take control of the points. That opening set perfectly illustrated the story of a player who had absorbed valuable lessons from the grueling Siegund battle. Against Siegund, Eala had been forced to excavate deep mental reserves. She had needed to remain calm amid extended games, countless deuces, shifting momentum, and every kind of distraction imaginable. She had battled her way through an encounter that demanded as much patience and emotional discipline as it did pure tennis skill. Such an experience can either leave a player depleted or forge her into something tougher. In Eala's case, it forged her into something tougher. You could observe it in how she approached the Linette match. There was a new maturity visible in her tennis. There was clear intention behind her footwork. There was zero panic, no unnecessary haste, and no squandered emotion. She carried herself like someone who had already weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. Therefore, when she claimed the first set 6-3, the result felt thoroughly earned. It felt as though the score accurately mirrored everything that had unfolded on the court. Eala had been the superior player. She had dictated the majority of the important moments. She had maintained her poise whenever Linette attempted to create chances. And above all, she had delivered a clear message. She was not present merely to take part. She was present to win. Then arrived the second set, and this is where Eala's performance grew even more striking. She opened the set with the same strength, sustaining the pressure and denying Linette any chance to find her rhythm. For a period, it appeared Eala might pull away decisively. She constructed her lead by remaining aggressive yet disciplined, and when the rallies grew more intense, she continued to discover solutions. Her serving carried genuine confidence, her ball striking was crisp and clean, and she showed real purpose in the way she built each point. Linette, to her credit, refused to surrender. She kept battling, kept pressing forward, and managed to fight her way back into contention within the set. And that is precisely the juncture at which many young players can lose their grip. You invest so much effort into establishing a lead, you sense the finishing line drawing nearer, and then suddenly your opponent lifts her level and the entire dynamic of the match shifts. That is the instant when doubt can begin to infiltrate. That is the instant when frustration can start to accumulate. That is the instant when momentum can swing completely in the opposite direction. But once again, Eala demonstrated meaningful growth. Instead of permitting Linette's resurgence to unsettle her, she remained fully engaged in the contest. She did not mentally crumble. She did not begin blasting low-percentage shots out of panic. She continued to trust her own game. She continued to compete with discipline. And when the second set progressed into a tiebreak, that became the purest possible examination of both players' mental standing. Eala passed that examination with flying colors. During the tiebreak, she looked like the more composed, more decisive player. She performed with clear intention. She managed the pressure more effectively, she executed the bigger, bolder decisions at the critical times, and when it counted the most she raised her level. Securing that tiebreak 7-3 was not simply about claiming the set, it was about displaying courage, it was about displaying maturity. It was about proving that even after allowing Linette back into the set, she still possessed the mental strength to close out the match in emphatic fashion. That represents a massive indicator for any rising player because raw talent can win you individual points, but strong mentality wins you matches of this nature. And if there is one element this Miami Open run is revealing, it is that Eala is growing stronger mentally with each successive round. The Sigund match was a true test of endurance, the type of battle that compels a player to confront discomfort, irritation, and exhaustion simultaneously. Eala came through it successfully. Then she immediately turned around and applied those lessons to defeat Linette in straight sets. That is the hallmark of someone who is absorbing knowledge rapidly. That is the hallmark of someone whose confidence is no longer delicate. That is the hallmark of someone who is beginning to grasp exactly what is required to succeed consistently at this elite level. Another aspect that particularly stood out during this performance was the serve. For quite some time, whenever discussions centered on Eala's game, the focus tended to remain on her potential, her athletic movement, her baseline consistency, and the variety within her shot selection. But in this match, her serve appeared to function as a genuine weapon she could depend upon without hesitation. That detail carries enormous importance. When your serve supplies you with easy points, when it allows you to begin rallies on your preferred terms, and when it rescues you during high-pressure situations, your entire game gains a new level of danger. And for Eala, that newfound assurance on serve seemed to stem directly from dedicated work. It looked refined. It looked practiced. It looked like an element of her game that is no longer restricting her in the manner it possibly once did. That is why this outing feels far more significant than merely one isolated victory. This was not simply a player enjoying a single strong afternoon. This appeared to be a player assembling the various components of her game into a cohesive whole. The physical foundation is present. The shot-making ability is present. The resilience is expanding. The confidence is solidifying, and now even the areas that formerly seemed fragile are beginning to look considerably more reliable. That is exactly how genuine breakthroughs occur. Not suddenly, not in one single enchanted instant, but progressively, match after match, obstacle after obstacle, until one day everyone notices that a player has truly arrived on the scene. And now, as she prepares for the next challenge, the buzz surrounding Eala is only going to intensify. Because once you overcome an experienced opponent following a 3-hour mental marathon and then immediately return to defeat another formidable player in straight sets, observers begin to take notice in a serious way. They start recognizing more than mere potential. They start recognizing real substance. They start recognizing a competitor who is not simply grateful to be participating, but is prepared to climb even higher. What makes Eala so enjoyable to watch at this moment is that she's not securing victories through only one approach. Against Sigund, she was required to endure a grueling test of patience, disruption, and stamina. Against Linette, she displayed a more complete and commanding version of her game. That kind of versatility is crucial. It signifies that she is adapting. It signifies that she is figuring out how to manage different playing styles, different rhythms, and different forms of pressure. And at this level, that adaptability can carry a player a very long distance. There's also something else worth appreciating about this current run: the belief. Eala looks as though she now truly believes. Not merely in brief flashes, not merely after executing a spectacular shot, but consistently across entire matches. You can observe it in how she presents herself on court. You can observe it in how she reacts to difficulties. You can observe it in how she seals important points. That kind of belief alters everything for a young player. Once the mind fully aligns with the talent, the game can ascend to an entirely new plane. And that is precisely why this Miami Open journey feels so meaningful. So yes, Eala has achieved it once again. After the punishing encounter with Sigund, she returned and dismantled Linette with a display brimming with confidence, discipline, and resilience. She controlled the first set, navigated the complications of the second set, dominated the tiebreak, and reminded everyone that her ascent shows no signs of slowing. If anything, she is only growing stronger. And if this is the version of Eala we are witnessing now, calm when the pressure rises, sharper with her serve, tougher mentally, and more assured in the decisive moments, then the rest of the field had better take notice. Because Eala is no longer simply enjoying a solid tournament. Eala is delivering a powerful statement, and right now she looks like a player who is only just getting started.